They should have won badly to the Titans at home. They're going to win a game that they should lose. They're being slept on right now. The Ravens are at home. They're supposed to win, but the Ravens secondary is banged up. And Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to be kept quiet on the field all season long. He's going to have a big game. The Browns for the upset.
Why don't you stop lying, man? Why'd you just say that you're emotional when it comes to Odell Beckham Jr.? I can live with that. I can live with that, Max.
And Baker Mayfield for that matter.
Max, you got to let that hurt go. All right, number two.
Got to let that go.
No future in front of you.
Forget it. Max, Dak will be the best player on the field when the Cowboys face the Saints.
Forget it, only because you're picking him against the field in this game, and there are a lot of good players in this game, both sides of the ball, both teams. The Dallas defense has actually underperformed so far, but you got guys like Van Der Esch and DeMarcus Lawrence and guys who can really play. Someone like that is going to have a bigger game than Dak, who's been almost perfect but against very bad teams.
I think Dak is going to be the best player on the field. So I'm going to take it. I think it's one of those situations where the Saints are going to be smart enough to key on Ezekiel Elliott. They're going to dare Dak Prescott to beat them through the air. He's got the requisite weapons. I'm not saying he's going to be that successful, but I do think he's going to be better than Teddy Bridgewater.
What about Kamara?
Well, it remains to be seen. We'll see.
All right, guys, let's move on. Book it or forget it. We're talking about the young guns. Stephen A. Smith, Daniel Jones will have over 300 yards passing again this week?
Book it. He's going against the Redskins. Case closed.
Yeah, the Washington defense has been one of the worst you'll ever see, really. You have quarterbacks. I know you're not supposed to be better than 100% completion percentage, but I think they are. People are lighting this defense up. And Daniel Jones will be the next quarterback to do it. Book it.
All right, next one up. Max, the Falcons will beat the Titans?
Yeah, I don't think a whole lot of the Titans. I think the Falcons are pretty good this year. They're one of these weird teams, Stephen A., where year to year you don't know, even week to week, you don't know who's going to show up. But I like their upside more than the Titans. I think they've been playing better so far this year. Book it.
Book it because I think the Falcons have a better sense of level of urgency. You've got Matt Ryan with Julio Jones, with Sanu, with Calvin Ridley. There is simply no excuse for you to be 1-2 on this season. Right. The Falcons have to step it up, and I think if you're off the blank, you're going to start looking at Quinn and really questioning his armor as the head coach of this franchise. I think they know it. I think they respond in kind. The game is in Atlanta. I think they close the game.
How good does Kyle Shanahan look right now?
How about that?
Moving on. Book it or forget it. Stephen A. Smith, starting with you. Jacoby Brissett will be better than Derek Carr on Sunday.
Book it. I like Jacoby Brissett the way that he's been playing. I think he's filled in nicely, but I don't underestimate Frank Reich as well. He's proven to be a really quality head coach, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, which we all knew coming over from Philadelphia to take over the coach last year. I think he's done a good job. I think he's developing Jacoby nicely. And more importantly than that, I have not been impressed with the Raiders. Now, in fairness to them, they were evolving everything and planning to around Antonio Brown. He's obviously no longer there, so they've had to make adjustments. I don't think they make it this quickly. I think they're 1-2 for a reason, and I think they're about to be 1-3 against the Colts in Indy.
Look, both of these teams overhauled their operations. The Colts did it more successfully. I mean, although the Raiders are not set up for success this year, they're looking forward. But the Colts overhauled the front office and everything, and look at the difference, even without Andrew Luck. The way Brissett's been playing, the way they can play on both sides of the ball, book it. Brissett will outplay Derek Carr.
Max, book it or forget it. Kyle Allen will lead the Panthers to a win over the Texans.
Forget it. Period. Stephen A.
I agree. You're going against Deshaun Watson in Houston. And I think that when you look at the Panthers, it's really about getting Christian McCaffrey the ball. That's really what it comes down to. Kyle Allen did a decent job last week. But the bottom line is he's going against Deshaun Jackson. He's going against a playmaker.
Watson.
Who's got, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson. You're going against Deshaun Watson, not to mention the fact that, you got somebody named DeAndre Hopkins available to him.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson is it's kind of weirdly flying under the radar this year because so many quarterbacks are playing well, but he's one of my favorite players in the league and is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL so far this year.
Yeah.
Next up on Book It or Forget It, Stephen A. Smith to you. Jameis Winston will have more touchdown passes than Jared Goff.
Leave it in L.A. Listen, Jameis Winston has looked nice under Bruce Arians, particularly the last 2 weeks. I'm just still not sold. I'm just not sold. And if Daniel Jones, a rookie in his first start, could come out on the field and shred you the way that he did against Tampa last week. What can Jared Goff do to you, particularly with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and those boys available to him? I know they don't look the same with Todd Gurley not 100% clearly, but the bottom line is Jared Goff, to me, is better, and I think he will show it Sunday.
I can't believe this is really a question. Obviously, forget it. Like, have amnesia. By the way, I am sold on Winston. I'm sold that he's not very good. I have not been that impressed. Look, everyone universally loves Arians. I get it. Count me among them. But I didn't think Winston looked so good. I saw Winston playing against a terrible Giants defense that can't get any pressure on the quarterback and can't cover anyone down the field. And I still saw him make bad throws down the field. On the other hand, Jared Goff, call him a system quarterback, whatever. I mean, these are both former #1 overall picks. But the system works, and he works in the system, and he has real arm talent. Forget this one.
All right, Max, this one's coming to you. Kyler Murray will get his first win versus Russell Wilson's Seahawks.
Forget it. Again, amnesia, forget it. They have not looked good. By the way, and you didn't think they would. After week 1, the way he played in the second half, you thought, oh, quarterback and coach didn't quit on this game. Quarterback's got real talent. The coach is there to aid him, in developing that. But this is not a good situation. And meantime, Seattle, coming off a loss at home in a game in which they were favored, is going to be extremely motivated. You can forget this one.
If they hadn't lost last week, I would give Kyler Murray a better chance. The fact that they lost, I think they'll be highly motivated. They don't want to lose 2 in a row. They know there's a superior team to Arizona. They're going to go after this kid. He's a rookie. They're going to go after Kingsbury, because they're looking at him, and this is Pete Carroll against Kingsbury. We got to pay attention to that. You got a relatively experienced defense that's going to go after this kid, and I think the combination of that defense led by Pete Carroll is going to outsmart Kingsbury, and then you're going to have what you have, which I believe is a very lopsided victory on the part of Seattle.
Book it or forget it. Oh, this one's kind of a sad one. Stephen A. Smith, the Dolphins will give up at least 30 points for the 4th straight game.
Book it.
Oh.
They are a absolutely horrible team. I'm not blaming Brian Flores. I mean, he just got there, and they clearly are looking to move forward. This season is a wash. We all know that. And this is just going to be the latest example of it. This is going to be a cakewalk as far as I'm concerned. At least 30 points are going to be scored by the Chargers, particularly with Melvin Gordon coming back.
Yeah, I mean, not only is it booking, but Roz, it's not sad. I mean, if you're going to stink, let's have some fun with it. Be historically bad. Set records. Hell yeah. Like, what do I just want to see? A miserably bad team that's not even especially bad? That's not even, like, bad in the way you remember? Nah, man, I'm all in on the Dolphins being as bad as they can be. It's a terrible team, starting from ownership down. They tanked the season. I feel sorry for the players. They're in a position to lose, and I'd like to see them do it as well as anyone's ever done it, and I think they're on their way.
I don't know how sorry I feel with the players. After all, if some of them could play better, they wouldn't be losing as much, and the team wouldn't feel the need to be tanking. So I'm not going to absolve the players from that as well. If you tanking, it's because, guess what, y'all? The ones you got on the team ain't too damn good.
We got a left tackle who's real good. Get rid of him immediately. Like, of course, the quarterback's got no protection.
Right.
They don't.
Oh, you guys are cold. All right, moving on. Last one. Book it or forget it. Max, Gardner Minshew will outplay Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I'm going to book it, and it's not like, I know people really like Gardner Minshew. The jury is out. But I'm not in on Joe Flacco, and I haven't been for years. He's like a version of Eli Manning. Hasn't been a very good quarterback in a very long time. And Stephen A., even at his best, the whole thing is Flacco elite, is he was a big-armed, actually game manager who was good under pressure. Eli was also like solid but good under pressure. But that was years ago. Flacco's been, I don't want to say totally washed, but he's not starting caliber to me.
I don't know what initially thought me to say forget it because of Flacco, but I must have been, listen, I don't really drink, but certainly not in the morning. I must have done something. I must have done, because somehow, some way, I actually thought that Flacco might have a good team. But I'm like, they're going against the Jaguars. This is not going to happen. I mean, you can book that.
Well,
Minshew will outplay Flacco.
There was Stephen A. Smith. We need a name for that character when you weren't totally sober last.
Oh, the high Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah.
The high one. Well, you know, we did have a nice week, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just want y'all to make sure y'all enjoy y'all Friday. You know what I'm saying?
Friday.
We thank you for watching First Take, and that was a cool little book it or forget it.
They should have won badly to the Titans at home. They're going to win a game that they should lose. They're being slept on right now. The Ravens are at home. They're supposed to win, but the Ravens secondary is banged up. And Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to be kept quiet on the field all season long. He's going to have a big game. The Browns for the
Why
upset.
don't you stop lying, man? Why don't you just say that you're emotional when it comes to Odell Beckham Jr.? I can live with that. I can live with that, Max.
And Baker Mayfield for that matter.
Max, you got to let that hurt go. All right, number 2.